Hey y'all, welcome back. This is Michelle from Michelle's Empty Nest, and we are going to work on 2 bonus pages today. I mentioned in the last video when I got to number 20 for Mall Spree that I decided to divide that into 2 different categories. So you saw me do the first part, which was stores that were in the mall in the 80s that we all love to go to and shop at. Most of these are not still in business, so it was kind of a good way to document that. And then I decided I would also include, like if I were to go shopping at the mall on a huge shopping spree, what are the things that would be on my shopping list in the 80s? What would have been the hot items, the trends, whatever. So I'm going to do that as a bonus for number 20. And then also I came up with what I'm just calling honorable mention. And it's things that some of them could be bought in a store, but some things are like things that we made, like friendship bracelets, for example, something like that, or just something that was, kind of a fad that came and went. So I wanted to document some of those because I kept thinking of those, and there were quite a few of them. So both of these pages today are going to end up having an interactive element to them. So I'm going to go ahead and get you put on fast forward, and we will get this done. So let's do it.
Okay, I am going to take apart my album one last time to get started on this first prompt today, which is what's in my shopping bag. So this is like prompt 20-2. I mentioned earlier that I wanted to include stores as well, so I did that as 20-1. And then I wanted this one just to be about like what are the things that I would have bought. So the hot trends, the clothes and the shoes that were popular during the 80s. So I found this image of a bag, and I just made it big enough to fit my page fairly well. And then I took my X-Acto knife and just cut along the edge of the bag so that I could make it a pocket. So I'm putting a score tape on there now, and I've put a piece up a little bit from the bottom that's going to catch the pieces of the pictures that I put down in there to keep them from getting too far down there and getting lost, which I don't think they would have gotten too bad because the pocket's not that much bigger than they are. But I did want them to stick out a little bit. At first I was just going to put the sheets of pictures in there, and then I thought it looked a little bit more like packages maybe sticking out of the bag, or the single items poking out of a bag if I did it in the strip. So I just ended up cutting them down like that. And at the end of the video, one reason why this one is longer is because I do walk through each of those items. I don't spend a lot of time on them, but I just show them to you and tell you what they are, just to, kind of let you see what it was that I thought was popular during the 80s, or maybe in your neck of the woods things might have been different. Different places may have different fads at different times, but I wanted to show what was going on in my part of the world at that time. So then I move on to what I'm calling honorable mention. And some of these are things that you buy at the store, but some of it was just more of like something you would make, or kind of like the magazines and things like that were just a sign of the times kind of. And I didn't really have another category to put them in, so I just collected up all these images along the way, and I knew I wanted to do something with them at the end. So I'm going to do a flip up, and I've made my hinge, which is 2 inches wide, and I cut it a little less than 6. I like mine to be a little shorter than the paper, and this is going to be a top hinge. So here I go. I've got my second hinge going down, and look there, they're upside down. I put it on the wrong way. So I had to tear it off, and then I went off camera, cut another hinge to 2 inches, scored it at the 1 inch mark, folded it, and again, it's a little less than 6 inches because this is 6.25 wide on the paper. So this time I'm going to pay a little bit closer attention once I get that score tape off and make sure that I've got this one in the right orientation. All right, thumbs up, we're good to go. So now I'm going to take this bright bold pattern, and it's going to go on the top of what's the flip up. So it's going to be on the back of this photo, but it'll be the front of what you see when you open up the album. So I'm going to get that score taped on, and then I'm going to take that whole thing and score tape it to my base page, which again is the Nina 110 pound cardstock. All right, and I didn't edit a lot of this out, I just sped it up a bit. I know you've seen me do it several times, but I didn't do a lot of editing out in this video. All right, so now I know I want to put some kind of tab, so I go and grab my Avery Index tabs and that December Daily Tiny Phrases stamp that I have used so many times for tabs that have nothing to do with Christmas. There's just, I mean, there are very specific Christmas things on there, and then there are other things that could be perfect for other occasions. Like this one, I chose one that says so many memories. I mean, that's perfect for what I'm doing. So I get it put in place out on the side so that it will, you know, there's extra room in the album that even when it closes, it's not going to stick out. All right, so I'm going to get everything put back in place and close it up. And this thing has gotten chunky. She is a little chunker. And then I liked this quote from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and so I printed it off, and I found it in a bunch of different versions, but I liked this one that kind of had this, it was almost a tie-dye sparkly look to it. So I used that one, and I off screen I think I come back in with the shimmer marker because there's several things I came back and did marker on, but I think it was off screen. All right, so here's where I'm putting the 20, and then I'm using the inside of a 0 as the dash, and putting the 2, and then I'm going to go back here and do the -1. Also come back and do a little shimmer marker around, I think, the speech bubble there, a couple other places, just to kind of make it a little more cohesive. Then I went off camera and did some journaling, and because I just felt like I had a few things that I wanted to say as I kind of wrapped this up, because it really ended up being a much more meaningful project than I ever imagined it would. And so I'm just so glad that Leilani came up with this and you know, invited us to take part.
Okay, I'm going to call this one done right here. So that finishes up the main portion of the album. I think I went back and did this outlining off camera. I just felt like it needed a little separation between the words and the background. And then I also went back and added the -1 to the stores from the mall, and then this is -2, so it's kind of like 2 parts of the same prompt. For my bag, you saw that I just had the slit there, and I cut that with an X-Acto knife. And I wanted to just kind of real quickly run through what's in my bag, the things that I might have shopped for. So for perfume or cologne, I could remember Love's Baby Soft, Exclamation, and then Jeanette, which was kind of like a body splash. And then you had Sun In for your hair to make it blonde. Prel was kind of a thing in the 80s. I don't think it's available anymore, and the bottle shape was just unique, so I thought that was a good one to include. And then White Rain Hairspray. I used the heck out of that stuff in the 80s. All right, for some shoes, we have those Reeboks with that little classic puffy part around your ankles. The Huarache sandals, and then Keds were really popular as well. And then also jellies here on this little set of photos were hugely popular. A couple of different kinds of jeans. These had a fold over waist and they were very acid washed, and floral denim was also a pretty big fad in the 80s. And then we had these puffy sleeve shirts with shoulder pads. Members only jacket. I had a black one just like this. Parachute pants. I had some purple ones, but it was really hard to find very good pictures of parachute pants, and really the purples were not able to be found in a good, decent quality picture. You know, it's a long time ago, so there's not a lot of good photos. All right, for shirts, I included Izod, and pink was a big color for those shirts as well. And then purple Panama Jack shirt, that's what I had. So that's the picture that I included, but they came in a lot of different colors. And then the Coca-Cola rugby shirt was huge, and there were different colors. You could get them in short sleeves and long sleeves, and so that was a craze for a while. Can't leave out leg warmers if we're talking about the 80s. A Swatch watch. Twist-a beads, where you had them in any colors you could imagine, and then you just picked the ones that matched your outfit that day, twisted them up and clipped them around your neck, and you were good to go. And of course, scrunchies were big. These banana clips were huge. I loved those. My hair was long in the 80s, and I had a lot more hair then than I do now. My hair is very thin now, but I loved how my hair looked up in those banana clips. And then benders, which were these little kind of metal, hard plastic type things that you could just bend around your hair, and then it curled it. It didn't ever work quite as well as the picture looks for me, but they were a hot item. So I love how this one turned out with the interactive element. And also with this one, with the flip up, I had done a couple of interactive things in my album, but I wanted to kind of finish with a couple more. So I called this category honorable mention, and it's kind of like trends, fads, hot items. Some of the things could have possibly gone into my shopping bag. They were things you could have gotten at the mall, but I just decided to kind of separate some of them out. So we'll start with this page. To me, this is the one that has like the most of the good things. So Trapper Keepers were definitely a hot item, and they have made a comeback, and I hope there's not a glare the way this is. And then I chose this one because she has on blue eyeshadow, blue eyeliner, and she's putting on blue mascara, and that was a real thing, as well as having purple on all of those things as well. And then we had this crazy thing we did with our cuffs of our jeans, where you kind of folded them over and then flipped them up. And I mean, it looks so bad now, but man, we thought we were cool doing that. And then these, I think they were called Boondoggles. It's like the flat plastic string. You can still get it now. It's still available, but making these things different little sizes and shapes into keychains and other stuff, that was a big crafty thing for the 80s for people my age, would have, you know, like a teenager. These braided hair bands or hair bows were big. These roach clip feathers, people wore them in their hair. People hung them from their rear view mirror. I remember the fair that used to come to our town every year. That was some of the prizes you could win from the games at the fair. And then friendship beads or friendship pins, where you would swap them with your friends and wear them on your shirt. Rabbit feet, they were a big thing to have then. I remember having one in my purse. Friendship bracelets, another thing where you kind of, you know, just made them and swapped them with your friends. You could get pretty elaborate with some of the designs, but those were really fun. Earrings could have gone over here with the shopping spree, but I felt like it kind of fit better here. And they were just crazy. They were loud, they were plastic, they were big, just a very unusual time for earrings in the 80s. And then this TV game computer switch. If you had a game system like an Atari, you had to have one of these things on your TV and switch it back and forth to be able to play. So that's a very 80s thing. And then Mrs. Grossman's stickers, that was pretty big as well. And then we move up here to a boom box. I think just about everybody had one. A see-through phone. And then I included these 3 magazines, Teen Beat, Tiger Beat, and 16. I remember getting those, reading those, tearing out the posters and hanging them on the wall. I included a prom picture just to kind of show some of the style of what prom wear looked like, as well as the fact that balloons were the popular thing for the background of prom pictures in the 80s. And then the Miami Vice guys, because they were just a vibe all on their own with their high pants and light colored suits. And so I included that. And then this is called Wildlife Treasury. And I remember getting these cards. They were like a mail order thing. And like you got maybe once a month, you got like another little set, and you could put them in the little spots where they went. And I loved those things. And I had completely forgot about them until they just came up like in another search. And I thought I had to include that. And then this meme about checking under the cap to see if you won. There would be words in the caps, and sometimes you could see through the plastic or the rubbery piece. Sometimes you actually had to peel it out with your finger, but it would tell you, you know, you didn't win, play again, or you won a free Coca-Cola, or you won a t-shirt, or whatever. And so that was a pretty big thing in the 80s as well, so I thought I would include that. And then I decided to just do final thoughts on this page. I have not done a whole lot of journaling in here because most pages didn't really need it. I mean, the photos and the title pretty well said what needed to be said, but I did want to just include kind of my closing thoughts, you know, how I felt about doing the album and how much I have enjoyed it. So I wanted to include that. And then I put in this quote from Ferris Bueller's Day Off that says, "Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it." And I just thought that was an appropriate thought for an album going back to the 80s, thinking about how fast time goes, how fast life goes by. And so I wanted to include that. So that finishes up all of the prompts. I will do a flip through of this whole album, just a kind of a quick flip through. I'll try to do that in a couple of days. I am going to laminate this cover, and I still need to put the back cover on as well. So there will be a few little finishing touches that I add. When I have the flip through, you'll see those finishing touches. So again, I'm sorry this was a long one, but there was just a lot to discuss back there today. If you enjoyed this video, I would love a thumbs up down below, and I appreciate you stopping by so much. It means more than you will ever know. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to do that and become part of my little YouTube family. And I'd love for you to follow me over on Instagram as well. There will be close-ups there and at the end of this video. And over on Instagram, I share a lot of projects that just don't ever make it their way over here to YouTube. So there are lots of things to see over there. And until I see you again, I hope you have an amazing day. Bye-bye.